It doesn't take a rocket scientist to read the New Testament to see that the early church was beset by conflict, both with forces outside the church as well as between members within the church. But we always seem surprised to read about these conflicts, as surprised as we are by the conflicts within the church today. We shouldn't be surprised by conflict in the church. After all, the church is nothing more than a human organization, but that doesn't mean we should be simply resigned to it either. Is there a remedy? James seems to think so. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. Today's epistle reading from the daily lectionary concerns conflict within the church. James asks the question, these conflicts and disputes among you, where do they come from? It is a question with which we continue to wrestle. The easy answer, of course, and one that is dead wrong, is that conflicts and disputes come from wrong-headed people, by which we really mean people who disagree with us. But that's not James's take on the matter. Listen to the very first part of today's reading from the daily lectionary. Who is wise and understanding among you? Show by your good life that your works are done with gentleness, born of wisdom. But if you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not be boastful and false to the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, devilish. For where there is envy and selfish ambition, there will also be disorder and wickedness of every kind. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace for those who make peace. Wisdom, or the lack thereof, or, more precisely, wisdom from above versus human wisdom. That's the nub of the issue. James claims that petty disagreements and conflicts arise from a lack of wisdom. Is he right? Well, his letter made it into the Bible, so he must be right. Right? Maybe. But that lets us off the hook in terms of understanding his point. Let's see if we can make sense of his meaning here. James knows that conflict exists within the church. He has seen it himself firsthand, and he has undoubtedly been a party to it from time to time. And he has no doubt observed something we still see today, that within the church there always seem to be those calm souls who don't lose their heads when conflicts arise. We might call them the wise souls, because they always seem to be the wisest among us. Contrast these wise souls with the hotheads. The hotheads are always seeming to be very sure that they are right and have nothing to learn from anyone else. They have short tempers and often resort to bullying to get their way. They often speak the most, even when they have nothing new to contribute. And they may be smart, very smart. They always seem to have an answer to every objection, a reason why their position is the only sound one available. But how often have we seen that the smartest ones in the room are not always the wisest? I believe there is a difference between intelligence and wisdom, between knowledge and wisdom. The problem, of course, is that we can measure intelligence and we can measure knowledge. Wisdom is another matter. There doesn't seem to be a universal gauge to measure wisdom, but we often know it when we see it, don't we? And we usually know it the same way James describes it. The wisdom from above, he says, is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace for those who make peace. Wisdom is as much a way of living in the world as it is a kind of intelligence. It is what I think of as the ability to see around corners, to understand the long-term consequences of short-term actions. It is the ability to recognize truth from whatever the source. It's the ability to live with a certain amount of ambiguity, knowing that answers are not always black and white, either or in nature. This way of living in the world tends to make one a little circumspect about fighting and a little more prone to try to work together for common solutions to vexing questions. Wisdom, in other words, tends to make for peace, a gentleness born of wisdom, as James put it. Couldn't our world use a little more of that kind of wisdom right now? Speaking of wisdom, tomorrow James warns us about the folly of seeking after riches as one's highest goal. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.